Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of Peters Township Council to order for Monday, December 8th, 2025. Mr. Lauer, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Jenifer?
Here.
Dr. Perosco? Here. Mr. Arcuri?
Here.
Mr. Steigel?
Here.
Mr. Kozer?
Here.
Mr. Lewis? I have
Here.
not heard from Mr. Rouse.
Okay, all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda will be approval of the minutes from the November.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion is second to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0. Don't see any special reports, so we'll move into audience comments. It's an opportunity for a member of the audience to address council for up to 5 minutes on a non-agenda item. Does anybody in the council, or anybody in the audience wish to address council? Okay, seeing nobody, we'll move into unfinished business. The only item here will be authorization to negotiate a contract for emergency medical services within Peters Township.
If I can, what I'd like to do is to provide some context to some of the testimony that was made by those in attendance at the special meeting on December 1st. It was asserted that the township never provides financial support to the Peters Township VFW ambulance. And I understand that they've always taken the position that the purchase of senior citizen subscriptions is not financial support, but rather is a sale of service to the township. It's always been my position that this is an essential source of funding, and in 2025, it amounted to $126,972. And I think it's worth noting that no other municipality in our region purchases subscriptions for all senior citizens in support of their ambulance service. But furthermore, the township has made a significant contribution to emergency medical services by staffing the fire department with 8 full-time paramedics. 4 of the vehicles are registered and equipped as advanced life support vehicles. Peters Township is only one of 3 fire departments across Pennsylvania licensed as an advanced life support quick response service. And it's that unified response from the ambulance service and the fire department that's proven such an effective way in ensuring timely and quality emergency medical care for residents and those visiting our community. And the intention is, regardless of who is providing service, is for the fire department to continue in that role. And just so that we all have a common understanding, one of the things that was presented was an incident that occurred on Willoughby Court. And to me, it's actually a validation of the way the system is intended to work. If you recall, this is the lady, and it's probably the worst possible thing that any parent could ever experience with a young child who has stopped breathing and has no detectable pulse. So when that kind of call comes out, it is not only the ambulance service that is dispatched, it is the fire department as well. First thing about this that worked right is that this individual was trained in CPR. And one of the things the fire department does and the ambulance service does in this community is train people in CPR. I don't know what the statistics are for the ambulance service, but the fire department last year trained 500 people in CPR. So as you might expect, given the proximity of Fire Station 3 to that location, the first emergency service providers on the scene were actually the fire department, and then shortly thereafter, the ambulance service was there. Care was transferred to the paramedics at the ambulance service, and that's who did the transport. But that kind of response is unique to Peters Township, and this cooperation between the fire department and the ambulance service. The other thing that I think I just want to clarify, because when the news reports that I have read and seen seem to imply that the township is taking this over, but how we got to where we are right now is based upon what was in the Fitch report that suggested that we negotiate a contract with the VFW. And it's when we were sitting down having those discussions that the commander for the VFW indicated, without Tom there, they don't have an expertise in delivering ambulance services in town. And it was his suggestion that it probably made more sense at that point for the township to assume that responsibility. And that's where that comes out of. It comes out, these proposals come out of that discussion. The other thing is that one of the things that's been suggested is that the township would have an advantage of going alone with a township-owned ambulance service. And what I would agree with, the advantage of which is you control your resources associated with delivering emergency medical service, because you control both the equipment and the staffing levels. The challenge, however, is addressing situations where the need for services exceed the capacity of the system. So right now, during the day, there are 2 ambulances on duty in Peters Township. And for the vast majority of times, that is sufficient. But there are occasions when both ambulances are in service. And what happens now when that occurs is that you depend upon mutual aid. You're getting either an ambulance in from Tri-Community South who's responding either from Bethel Park or Upper St. Clair, or you're getting an ambulance in from Cannonsburg to handle those calls. What's being proposed by AHN is that if you had the situation where both ambulances were out of Peters Township, they would move an ambulance from Cannonsburg to Fire Station 1 to provide coverage from an ambulance in town. In the case of ambulance and chair, if both ambulances were in service, they have an ambulance that sits in North Strabane right across the township border. So I do think there's some advantage to being part of a larger system as opposed to going it alone. One of the things that has been presented to you tonight is an updated proposal from Ambulance and Chair. They made a couple changes to their proposal that they spoke to last Monday. I asked them to reduce that to writing. In addition, there's a memorandum here sitting from Mike McLaughlin, and I don't know whether you want to speak to that memorandum, Mike?
Whatever you feel is appropriate.
What, can you?
Mike, did you see the revised proposal from ambulance?
I have not seen the written revised proposal from Ambulance and Chair.
It just came in.
Yes, I have not.
Is that this thing? Can you summarize it all briefly? I think.
Well, the difference between what was in the initial proposal and what's in this proposal is principally that there will be 2 ambulances in Peters Township 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. One ambulance to be located at the garage here and the other ambulance to be located at Fire Station number 3. But I think that's the principal difference.
Do you know if at all they were interested in negotiating where those ambulances were to be stationed at?
I don't know that, Mike. What we've asked people to do is to tell us where they would like to
Correct.
see those ambulances.
So to Mr. Lauer's point, and that is one of the major details of the proposals that's been updated. But another one of the major details that we've seen as well is there is a statistical advantage to having both ambulances stationed at the center of the township. Thank you. Like Mr. Lauer spoke with the emergency response system, when we have trained fire paramedics or trained EMTs, responders out at Fire Station 3, as we do already, you're almost duplicating your services by having an ambulance there as well. Just like the incident on Willoughby Court, the system is designed for us to have the hands on the patient first in that section of town. Conversely, there's a third of the section of the township that the ambulance service, when stationed here at the center of the township, will beat us to and have hands on the patient before us, and we will provide assistance to them. So a clear advantage of having both ambulances at the center of town versus on both ends of the township. Where the original proposal from Ambulance and Chair offers an amazing amount of resources with the Center of Emergency Medicine and through UPMC. I've kind of looked at this as not an AHN versus a UPMC decision, but more of a Canonsburg ambulance versus a Washington ambulance and chair decision, and how those agencies have become and how they respond on the street. With the yes,
Can I
sir.
interrupt you real quick?
Please.
Their update does mention that they're willing to accommodate us by adjusting locations as we see fit.
So again, something that could be negotiated into the contract, yes.
Just sorry to interrupt, Chief.
No, please.
It also says in this addendum, during meetings with township leadership, Station 3 was suggested as a possible site. In fact, the fire chief identified it as possible preferred site during because of the growth in the township's east, so.
And I was not in those meetings, I apologize, but through conversations that we had had together, that may have been something that was portrayed. But I think from a response standpoint, having both ambulances at the center of the township is really ideal for us. Additionally, to speak with the mutual aid system, the way that Canonsburg Ambulance Service has their what we'll call a posting point at Fire Station 1 is an amazing advantage to us as well. So if both trucks are in service from the center of the township, they will move a truck and post it up at the fire station, which kind of sits as an in-between point between the rest of our township and their service area in Canonsburg, where they're committed to as well. One of the things that we talked about with operations was them keeping our specific service area. And Gary, I can kind of speak to your knowledge with how things respond, but when our medics get dispatched, they get dispatched to Peters Township in Medic 6400's area. That's our specific call sign. Canonsburg's looking to keep this response area as its own designation, which will help us in timely responses, assist with fire department responses, and things of that nature. In addition to that, in speaking with a lot of our staff members, the quality of care that both ambulance services provides is really stepping up in the last couple of years. There are concerns that everybody has with the amount of growth that ambulance and chair has taken on over the last couple of years to see if we could be sustained in their growth plan. I share those concerns with the staff. The reason that we have those concerns are due to elongated response times, and maybe not to emergency calls, but calls that get stacked, calls that would keep our fire truck out of service for other calls while we're waiting for an ambulance for something that's lesser of an emergency because it's a lower priority. So throughout the memo, that's basically it summarized. It'll conclude that ambulance and chair submits an amazing proposal, and UPMC is a phenomenal healthcare system, but bringing this back down to a Canonsburg ambulance proposal versus a ambulance and chair proposal, it's my recommendation that council proceeds with Canonsburg ambulance as negotiated service for Peters Township.
So, thanks, Mike. It's going to be my recommendation that council direct the township manager to negotiate a contract with AHN for the purpose of providing emergency medical services to Peters Township. You know, and I note that AHN is proposing to house 2 ambulances 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at the current ambulance garage. AHN has appropriated the funds needed to staff the service and acquire the equipment. AHN currently has a larger concentration of vehicles near Peters Township than ambulance and chair. And I believe that the transition to AHN would be smoother. Both AHN and the Peters Township Fire Department currently receive command through Canonsburg Hospital. And where that can change, the fact of the matter is that's the current situation. AHN and the VFW Ambulance Service have a history of working together. The VFW, the ambulance executive director, and the emergency medical staff do not have a good working relationship with the ambulance and chair. And having spoken to Mr. Hauser, he acknowledges that there is a history there. It isn't clear to me that the VFW ambulance employees right now are interested in working with the ambulance and chair. And I guess the last thing that I would say is that, you know, I think it's noteworthy that Tom McMurray, who has served as the executive director, has recommended that if in fact we were going to an outside service, that we look at seriously at Allegheny Health Network. That's the same recommendation that's coming from the chief. And one of the things that Mike and I, when we began this process of examining these proposals, my direction to Mike was to give me your recommendation, whether it agrees with me or my recommendation or not. And he came to the same conclusion.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think is noteworthy is that the chief sat down with the paramedics who work now for the fire department, and they come to that same conclusion. So I feel fairly confident in the recommendation that we're making to council.
One of the concerns I have, though, is, Mike mentioned the expanded coverage area about ambulance and chair. That's actually more of a concern for me. I look at the coverage area that Cannonsburg has, and it's significantly less than it was in previous years. At the same time, we have North Strabane dropped Cannonsburg, picked up ambulance and chair. Nottingham picked up ambulance and chair. What are they seeing that you guys aren't seeing?
So you're right. North Strabane was split into two zones. Half of it was Cannonsburg, half of it was Peters EMS way back when. And they switched to a single service. And when they went with ambulance and chair, it went away from Cannonsburg, where I can't speak to the specifics. There are communities in the county that have done the opposite, mostly Donegal Township in 2025. Was with ambulance and chair and switched away from and went to Cannonsburg Ambulance Service to try to get more of a community ownership type of mentality. In dedicating that truck to them and having their community's name on the side of those trucks in Donegal, so that there was that ownership factor of being a part of the community. So where I can't speak to the specifics of why they came out of North Strabane, there have been efforts to the contrary with Cannonsburg Ambulance Service as well.
I think we keep talking about way back when. It's not way back when anymore. It's now. You know, there's different leadership in Peters Township. There's different leadership at ambulance and chair. So, you know, these comments, we need to move forward and be progressive instead of thinking about the past. And it's okay to change and make good new relationships. One of the comments I wanted to address is you said ambulance and chair was spread too thin. I'll give you an example. Last September, Southwest EMS out of Greene County gave UPMC Washington 2 weeks notice that their service was shutting down. 2 weeks. At that time, ambulance and chair came in, split Greene County with Fayette and ambulance and chair. Right now in Greene County, there's a better ambulance service than there was a year ago. So, spread too thin, I mean, everyone's gonna have staffing issues. But
It's an
once you build it
observation.
up, right now, again, we have better ambulance service in Greene County than we did a year ago with a dedicated ambulance service for Greene County.
With that 2 weeks notice, I think it's important, how large of a service area is that? You know, those aren't small areas. That's,
But Greene County's lots, so your response times are long,
Yeah.
right? It's not
So-
Peters Township, Cannonsburg, so
Right.
they're humping, getting to their locations.
so what I would expect, at least from whichever service does it, I would expect Cannonsburg Ambulance to do it differently here than they would in Donegal, per se. And I would expect ambulance and chair to do it differently than they do in Greene County. We're just a different demographic as far as urban sprawl wise, response times. And unfortunately, you know, sometimes we have a longer response time to a hospital. We don't have a hospital in town, so all things to consider.
Does anybody want to make a motion? We can do that after motions or anything.
So,
I would move that we authorize the township officials to begin negotiation with AHN, Cannonsburg Group.
I second.
And I'll make a motion that we authorize the,
I didn't hear that motion. Did you make a motion?
yeah, he did.
Tell him to speak up. I
Speak up,
can't
Paul.
hear- Use your microphone.
Microphone is right in front of me.
I know, well, we can't hear you back here. And I don't wear hearing aids. I don't need hearing aids.
My motion was that the council authorize the township officials to negotiate or commence negotiation with AHN Canonsburg.
And Mrs. Shenfeld
Yes.
seconded that.
But what I was gonna say, because it seemed like you were gonna ask for another motion, what you need to do is dispose of this motion first. If it passes, there's no need for a second motion. If it fails, then you can make a motion to do something else.
So, John, there's no way to have a competing motion on the floor and have a roll call vote?
Not
No,
really.
you have to at least take action on one versus the other. Now, the other thing, I'm not sure if there's gonna be a question on the motion, if you're gonna invite public comment.
I am, yeah.
Okay. And I think that's the problem, where it's concentrated on one versus the other.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any
The only
further-
other way, Mr. Chairman, obviously would be a vote to table that until you can get the other
Yeah,
motion.
I know we've done it in the past for leadership positions, so whatever. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion from council?
I have a question. I mean, before we get ahead of ourselves, do we have any kind of vision as exactly what we want? I mean,
Oh, yes. Oh, I think clearly, I think, the one thing that I will say is that both of these proposals that have 2 ambulances in Peters Township, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, is the basis upon which we intend to negotiate a contract.
And the only thing we'd be doing tonight is voting to authorize the manager to negotiate the contract. So if he comes back with something that we don't agree with, we don't approve it.
Yes.
Well, that's true.
Good with that?
I just thought there would be other issues about, whether one would ensure that the current staffing here would actually, not just compete for a job, but,
Well, and I
assuming they
think,
met their criteria,
I-
given the job.
and I think that's probably something we can negotiate into the contract. Because I think the important thing to notice, we're not voting on awarding the contract tonight. We're only giving the manager the authorization to negotiate the deal. And if the manager brings the deal before us and we don't like it because either A, they're not giving the existing paramedics priority, or we don't like, how much they're going to charge or whatnot, we don't have to vote to approve it.
That's correct.
Good. Any other comments or questions from council?
So we're voting on this motion now?
Well, I think
Correct,
that-
after I'm going to turn over to audience comments, but after that, we'll vote on that motion.
Oh, yeah, I just have a couple, things. When I look at this, trying to be very objective, the 2 trucks 24/7 equals out. Quality and response times, I think, are equal. Locations, I think, again, are very equal between ambulance and chair, and AHN. I do think there's a significant advantage with ambulance and chair with his resources, both staffing, financially, and education. It's the largest health system in Pittsburgh, Center for Emergency Medicine with research and education. Again, I said earlier, we're looking to grow. That's what we want to do. I feel like we're going to have that advantage with ambulance and chair. The power to make decisions in our own community, I think, is extremely important. If you look at this addendum, it does say in here that most notably, providers provide Peters Township with direct engagement with our board of directors via our community council. So to me, that's saying that someone from our township is going to be sitting on the board that's going to empower us to make decisions for our community. Thing that hasn't been brought up, like ambulance and chair is the only entity in Washington County that carries blood products right now. So it's a big decision to make. I have parents living in the township, my brother and his family. I do think ambulance and chair would be the strongest fit for our township.
Any comments from council? No. Okay, we'll turn it over to the audience. If there's anybody from the audience, preferably people who weren't here and commented at the last meeting. So is there anybody that wants to address this topic? Seeing none. Yep.
Dan Boyle. I know you guys got a tough decision to make here tonight, or to start the process. I agree with a lot of the things that were said, but again, I think the big thing that we have to look at is the logistics of, how we're gonna make this all work. how you're gonna put these ambulances, keep them where they're gonna be. And I know that Paul and Mike had talked about that. But I've seen over the years that the UPMC, well, prior to it, ambulance and chair, I think they bit off a big chunk. You know, they got 50-some communities they're responding to. And I understand once UPMC come in, it's gonna change things around. But on the other end of it, I think when you look at the AHN program, you see that they're only serving a few communities. I mean, you know, a lot of people will look at that and say, well, you know, I think personally that the AHN program is probably the stronger of the two versus that, providing what you were looking at here, looking at the ambulance, the present ambulance people, EMS would rather work with the Canonsburg people versus the UPMC people. And again, that's people that are on the street. I know you got a decision to make on a lot of things, but I think that one of the big programs or drawbacks would be that the current employees aren't really interested in working with UPMC. You got a lot of people here that are probably looking to, you know, move on and possibly work within their systems. So that's something I think that really needs to be considered too, is what's going to happen with the people that are currently there. And from what I understood, that UPMC or AHN was willing to come in and buy the lock, stock, and barrel, the equipment from the VFW. And I don't know where UPMC is on that. I didn't really see it.
Yeah, they're
They're buying their
addendum.
stuff.
Yeah,
I didn't see that proposal.
Yeah, their addendum
I'm
expresses
just going
that
by
they're
what
willing
I've
to-
heard and
Yeah,
seen,
that's-
but that was just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul.
Anybody else in the audience that didn't speak at the last meeting? Yeah, I'll open up to people that were at the last meeting, but only if you have new information to present. Is there anybody that has anything new to add? Okay, seeing none, we'll go with the roll call on this one. And the motion is to authorize negotiation with AHN for the use of Canonsburg ambulance in the Peters Township.
Mr. Lewis,
Aye.
Ms. Shanafelt,
Aye.
Dr. Porosco.
Just want to, for a record, Mr. Smith, about voting on this topic.
Yes, Dr. Porosco has asked me to look into whether he can vote from a conflict of interest standpoint with his employment. And I gave him an opinion in the past and this evening, based on facts he provided, that he can cast a vote. In fact, Ms. Shanafelt's in the same boat. Their employers are AHN and not necessarily UPMC, but one of their subsidiaries. Looking that they're not a board member, they weren't involved with wouldn't be involved in any of the bidding or preparation of any contracts, that they would have no pecuniary interest for themselves or their family directly, and that there's case law on point under contracts, that this is part of a public process, that you can both vote.
Thank you.
Dr.
Nay.
Porosco. Mr. Kozer.
Nay.
Mr. Arcuri.
Aye.
Mr. Steigel.
On the nay. So being that we have a tie, that fails the motion. However, I think Mr. Arcuri, you mentioned prior to the meeting, asking whether we can authorize you to negotiate with both of them to see.
Sure.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to authorize the manager to move forward with negotiating a best and final offer with Canonsburg Ambulance and Ambulance and Chair Services.
Okay. And just so everybody's clear, this is probably coming back to you at the second meeting in January. I don't see any way to complete that by the 22nd. We normally don't do business on the reorganization
Expect you
meeting.
to be
so-
able to do it that fast.
Yeah,
No, I'd be shocked if you can get it done that fast, Paul.
okay.
Do a roll call on that one then.
Mr. Lewis,
Aye.
Mr. Kozer,
Aye.
Mr. Arcuri,
Aye.
Dr. Porosco,
Aye.
Ms. Shanafeld,
Aye.
Mr. Steigel.
Aye. Carries 6-0. Okay, so moving to new business. The first item will be authorization of the police department to make application to the Pennsylvania Game Commission for continuation of the sharpshooter deer management program.
It's okay, sir.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, ready when
Go for it, Jason.
Good.
good?
Yep.
All right, so we're back again here after 4 years of the deer management program.
You just want to figure out where we're doing.
I'm sorry.
Just wait a second.
Okay, you got it.
Just go.
Yeah, I think we
We're gonna be.
Go, don't go. I don't know what to do.
They can leave. I'm listening to what
Yeah,
you're gonna
so we're just back here again, to answer any questions about the deer management program currently and answer any questions that you may have. We had another, what I would consider a successful program last year. We took out another 250.
Excuse me, is this mic working? Because we can't hear over all the noise in the back.
You know what, if somebody could
Shut
grab
that door, please. Going out into the hall. Thank you.
Jason, the police voice.
See if that makes,
Try it again.
say something to see if it works, if it makes better.
Is that any better?
Look, it isn't picking up.
Is it on?
It's much worse.
Our mics are on.
Jason, can you just speak loudly?
I will speak louder. So we're here, again, to answer any questions. We completed year 4 last year of our sharpshooting portion of the deer management program. We're here to, answer any questions and determine if council wants to proceed with year 5 of the program. We removed 250 deer again last year in about 10 shifts from the township.
Just curious, how many pounds of meat does that result in? For the,
Last year, I think it was
11,000 pounds.
11,000 pounds of meat, and that meat's distributed throughout Washington County and down into Greene and Fayette counties as well.
It says Allenport and Denora.
Where are we at with our, reaching the goal with traffic, the collisions? I tried to count the dots, I kept losing track.
Yeah, no. So the collisions right now, we are currently sitting at 77 for the year. So we had originally said after 5 years would reevaluate, and the goal was 65.
So isn't it
we
higher
get-
this year? I thought we were in the 60s last year.
No, I think we ended up with 84 last year, if I'm not mistaken.
What year is this?
This is the 4th year. We started the sharpshooting in 22, so 22, 23, 24, 25. That's conducted in February each year. Yeah, so we had 84 last year.
Wow.
Does anybody from council have any questions?
No, I'll make a motion that we authorize the Peters Township Police Department to make an application to the Pennsylvania Game Commission for the sharpshooter deer management program and to undertake the program if approved.
Second.
Okay,
I've always, do these work at all? I don't think they work.
or not?
No, they
think
don't. None of them work.
I can tell you when you hit it like that, it'll be on the recording.
Well, anyway, well, I just want to know, do you go out looking for the bucks or the does, or what are you looking for?
We prioritize the does, but we do take both, bucks and does.
Because I tell you what, the year you guys were doing it a lot, I had 7 buck in my yard, okay?
they're probably
And
lonely
then-
because all the doe were wiped out.
No, there were doe too, but this is before they started shooting, okay? And then all the buck were gone, but all I see are doe. So it just seems to me like, it makes sense that you should be
We do prioritize the
getting the
doe
doe, okay?
in the program. But
I mean, I don't
it-
want you to shoot any of them, to tell you the truth, but I know that we have to, but, because if, I don't know.
It seems like you guys are killing a ton of them right along the southern border or something.
Yeah, I
I mean, I
know.
would guess that you're killing those and they're coming right over from Nottingham and filling in the void.
Well, I mean, I think every they're coming in from every angle. We got development occurring everywhere, both in the township and outside. So that's one of the things we're battling, is just an increase, in vehicular traffic and a decrease in the woods where these deer can live. So
Do any of our neighboring communities have a program like this? You know, like
Upper St.
Nottingham?
Clair does it, and Bethel Park does it.
So like, what about Union or any of those?
No, not Union.
Because that's what happens. The more they develop, there's less food. Those
Well-
deer are moving, and they're going to come here no matter what.
They're, they're edge animals. They like edges of forest, and that's what these housing developments are creating is an edge condition, so they're coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think if you keep shooting them on the south, they're just gonna keep funneling in. You almost have to cut them off in Union Township and probably further south.
We do a lot down along Venetia Road. We've had some, we go by a lot of the accident data, but also we receive requests from residents to utilize their property for management. And we get those pretty regularly. We just got another one this week from the Timberlake property. So it's kind of every year we kind of adjust based on both the crash data and where the residents are calling and requesting us from. We put some work in down the far end of like Venetia Road and that end down there because there was a lot down there, and there's a lot of development down there going on now, all along Venetia Road that we're kind of combating as well.
Have calls for complaints decreased with this at all?
I think we're at 14 complaints this year total, and that most of those honestly are deer stuck in ornamental fences. Honestly, I don't have the exact stats there, but that's what, again, another product of continued development, and that's where we end up. But I think our high, at one point we were up in the 30s for those calls. We're at and like in 21 we answered 35 calls related to that, and then that's gone down to 14.
Well, and the other problem we have is we have residents who are feeding them,
Well, we
which
have that
doesn't help
also.
either.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate that we have to do this, but, and it's not funny to say, but we have to kill some or they're gonna die, because they're gonna starve to death in the wintertime.
And it's never been our goal, and it still remains. We're not trying to kill all of the deer. We're not trying to wipe out the herd. It's just a matter of keeping it in check and finding that point where kind of everybody's somewhat satisfied with what's going on.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any other comments from the audience, council? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, I'm a nay, so it carries 4-1.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, I guess you should note that Ms. Shanafelt left for this vote.
Next item will be a request from Woodrow Welch for a time extension regarding a subdivision located on Manor Way in Juniper Woods plan of lots.
And this, while this is only a one-lot subdivision, there are many issues surrounding this that makes the decision here complex. There's no harm in granting an extension. It's my recommendation that Mr. Wells be granted an extension regarding the subdivision located at Manor Way in Juniper Woods plan of lots until February 28th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 5-0. Next up will be award of a contract for fuel under the Co-Stars program.
So, under the Co-Stars program, they bid fuel, both gasoline and diesel. The price is based upon the OPIS price for Pittsburgh, and in the case of gasoline and diesel, it's minus 3.1 cents below that posted price, and then there's a differential for winterization of diesel fuel of 2.9 cents. It's my recommendation the council award a contract for the purchase of gasoline and diesel to Glassmere Fuel Services.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. How does that compare to last year?
I think it's
You know
pretty
that,
close.
Tracy?
So-
I think this is actually slightly better than last
We never
year.
had it below the OPIS average.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
And you gotta understand, this is totally floating, and all you're doing is adding or subtracting from the public price.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay. Any comments from the audience, questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. And final item under new business will be an ordinance amending the Township ordinances, Chapter 410, regarding vehicle and traffic speed limits and
So
stop intersections.
Yeah, for the most part, this is establishing speed limits and stop intersections on new roads. The one exception to that is the intersection of King Richard with Old Washington Road. We got requests from residents to take a look at that intersection. The concern was limited sight distance coming out of King Richard onto Old Washington Road. The problem is that the speeds on Old Washington Road exceed that which is posted, which at the speeds that are actually being traveled there, you can't safely turn out of King Richard Drive based upon the speeds and the vertical curve on Old Washington.
You mean Old Water Dam, not Old
Oh,
Washington.
Water Dam, yeah, excuse me. What is proposed here is to make this a three-way stop.
You know, Paul, I'm all for traffic safety, but it seems like we're putting a stop sign at everyone who asks for a stop sign in this township is getting one.
I'm not sure that that's true, but
It certainly seems that way. Except for me, I can't get mine at Lintel and Johnston. I've been asking
See?
for it for 8 years, yeah. Did we
I
do,
think it was recommended by. Yeah, it's good to confirm, Mr. Mudgery did review that
Yes.
intersection and
Yes,
recommends
it's-
it.
yes.
I mean, how much traffic actually goes up Old Washington?
That's what I was gonna.
Because, I mean.
Oh, quite a
Really?
bit.
Did you want to make a,
There's never,
You want to make a comment, Ms.
there's never
Shaner?
anybody on that road when I'm on that road, you know, come on.
So I guess the
It's not that busy.
counter argument then isn't, there won't be anybody that'll have to stop, right, if we put the
Well,
stop sign?
honest to God, I mean,
Even with that new apartment complex?
I'd say if you want to put one stop sign at the bottom of King Richard,
There is a stop sign there.
well, there already is then. I mean, what, 3, you're gonna make somebody stop before they get to King Richard? Is that what you're talking about?
We stop at the
No,
intersection.
no, yes, you schmaria, come on. You know,
I mean, I guess I can see, right, if you were,
Always stop. That's what it says, always
oh,
stop.
no.
I guess if you're looking to head north on 19, maybe you would go that way, right, so you could avoid the traffic.
Yes.
That's what
I've never seen anybody come out of there,
Yeah, right.
going, like, north. You know what I'm saying?
it'll probably stop the cut through traffic.
Or at least it'll make it slow down, I guess.
Right.
Well,
Right.
if there's been a traffic study done, and that's what the recommendation is, then we have no reason to, but I'm again gonna request we do a traffic study on Johnston and Lintel, because when I take my kids down there in the morning for the bus, the number of cars that come flying through that intersection, you know, it's amazing to me that nobody's ended up in my front yard or down in my neighbor's
We'll speak to
backyard
Mr.
yet.
Mudry.
You just changed it.
Probably did.
Did somebody make a motion?
No.
All right, I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 918, amending the Peters Township Code of Ordinances, Chapter 410, Vehicle and Traffic, establishing speed limits and stop intersections.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries 5-0. Payroll and bills.
Mr. Chairman, I have reviewed the payroll and bills. I find them, as always, to be in order. I move they be approved as submitted.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to pay the bills, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Correspondence, is there, I don't see anything. Would anybody like to discuss any of the items under the board minutes?
No.
No? Okay, miscellaneous.
The Environmental Quality Board's looking for guidance from council. You know, one of the things that's unique about the Environmental Quality Board is that you have student members on that board. And one of the board members' suggestion was perhaps they should have clearances for all the people on the board. And the thing you gotta understand is that that board's like a working board. It not only meets, but it goes out and does projects, and those kids are part of those projects. I think it's appropriate, but it's really up to council as to whether or not you want to require it.
I know, it just seems like we're singling them out, although they are a little bit different. They're you know,
So-
hanging out, I mean, not hanging out, but doing projects with children, like zoning board or the planning commission or.
Yeah,
Well, how about, we ought to consider it for the library board then, too. Do
well,
they?
one
No,
at a
but-
time. Youth Commission, they require it, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good, yeah.
Oh, I mean.
We should do the library too, if we're gonna do
Well, the
it.
library board doesn't deal with with
They don't-
children.
They don't, okay.
You know, what creates this, I think, obligation is the fact that you have 2 high school students who sit with the Environmental Quality Board. I think that's the difference. It's that youth membership on the board.
What's the time commitment and level of effort needed to get one of these clearances?
It's not hard. In fact, the
It's
fact
not
of the
what I
matter
hear.
is, anybody who has a child in school has probably gotten these clearances because you need them for the PTA, you need them for youth sports. It's,
Yeah, the first time you do it, it takes about 45 minutes or so, but then after that, every 3 years, you have to redo them. It takes about.
Well, it's 5 years, but we make
Or whatever.
them do it 3 years.
yes.
What's worse is coaching, and I'm not sure that falls in that category, because that's a whole
Right.
nother animal
We
of
require
classes.
We have long required them for youth sports, long before.
Well, I'm just saying, in terms of, I'm not sure that board has to do the same as coaches have to.
Is that something we could bring in-house to the police
I think
department?
we do.
No?
Didn't we used to do that?
I thought we did.
We used to do the fingerprinting over at the rec center. They changed companies that process that for the state of Pennsylvania, and we could not do that.
Okay, but if we're gonna do that, though, I think we need to put something on the website, or whenever we're soliciting members to join, that they know that that's a condition. So we don't interview somebody, and then we decide they want to appoint them, and then they find out they have to do that, and then they
Yeah, and not everybody on the Environmental Quality Board
agrees.
agrees, so that,
You think it's gonna be a significant drop of membership?
I don't know. You know, the thing is, what it really gets down to in my mind is what's the right thing to do, and if that causes someone to leave that board, so be it, but it's.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what
I don't
we
know
need to
that.
do in terms of.
You know that,
finding new
Tracy?
members.
We had one gentleman already resign, and there's another gentleman that's not happy about it, but the chairman has had a chance to talk to him, and I think he realizes now the importance.
Okay. We need to make a motion.
No, but if the consensus of the board is, I take it that we ought to do it.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so.
Bring ourselves up to liability if we don't.
Yep, let's do it.
I have to say something, there you go, there was something that you guys should have done a long time ago, okay? Required these clearances, rather than talk about three-way stop. Okay,
I'm with you.
really? Okay, come on.
Okay.
Okay,
What else we got?
anything for the next agenda?
No meeting
We have an executive session?
I do not have anything for an executive session.
Okay.
We
Meeting is
do
adjourned.
have one?
No.
No. All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.